What's up everyone? In this video, I'm taking a look at the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro wireless video transmitter, and I'm actually really looking forward to testing this out. So let's go check it out. Actually, never mind. If you're new here, my name is Caleb and I've been doing freelance video production since 2012, but this channel is to help you make your own videos, whether you just started or you've been making them for a while, whether you use the GH5 or any other camera. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, before we get any further, I do want to say that Hollyland did send me the Mars 400S Pro, which I'm totally grateful for. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to see how it paired with the GH5. And the reason I did it is because I do think it would be a good tool for you, for GH5 shooters, and for the GH5 community. So thank you, Hollyland, for sending me the Mars 400S Pro. All right, so let's talk about the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. And let me tell you something, this is something that you may not need in your workflow, but something that comes in super handy, especially if you work with multiple people on a set or actually making videos during COVID. So the Mars 400S Pro is the pro version of the Hollyland video transmitter, wireless video transmitter. So you don't need to be near the camera while recording. You could be off in a different room or you could be off walking around set, but it gives you an opportunity to transmit the video signal so that you can monitor it on a separate monitor or on your phone. So let me know down in the comments, is the Mars 400S Pro something that you could use in your GH5 workflow? So we'll get into the specs and everything here in just a couple minutes, but let's take a look at everything that comes with the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. All right, when you get the package of the Mars 400S Pro, the very first thing that you're gonna notice when you open it is the instruction manual and also a let's get in touch card. So actually when you flip through this instruction manual, there's not a whole lot of reading, which is kind of nice because you don't want to spend a lot of time reading, you just want to get to use it. So they use a lot of pictures, and personally I'm a visual person, so I like a lot of pictures in my instruction manual. So underneath the instruction manual, you're actually going to have the units themselves. And first of all, I'm going to pull out the receiver. So with the receiver, you're gonna have the SDI out, you're gonna have HDMI out, on-off button, and a USB port for power, and then also a DC port for power, including a spot for the NP style batteries. And these are actually really good looking units with the OLED screen, as well as the knobs to switch channels and kind of run through the menu. The receiver is blue and the transmitter is red. So if you ever get them confused, you kind of know which one's which, as well as the antenna mounts here that we'll kind of put together here in just a sec. So when you pull the transmitter out, it's basically going to be the same type of unit with the battery power, HDMI, DC power, SDI in, on off, USB-C. And like I said, it is labeled with a red knob. So when we put that off to the side, the next thing we pull out is the power supply. And it's kind of nice because this plug is separate. So you just kind of attach it like that and it's together, and then you have the power supply. So if you don't want to run either the transmitter or the receiver on an NP style battery, you have a power supply that you can use, but you can also use the USB-C to power it. So depending on what kind of power bank you have, you could have really long life. And then the last thing that we're going to pull out are the antennas, and it looks like, so each one takes two, so it looks like we have an extra one in here just in case we lose one, which, you know, if you're like me, sometimes you kind of lose them. All right, let's run through some quick specs of the Mars 400S Pro. And one of the things that you kind of wonder about being a video transmission system is just the range that you're gonna get. Well, you have 400 feet of transmission range between the receiver and the transmitter. That's line of sight, but that's 400 feet. So another thing you're gonna wonder about is just the latency or delay in the video signal with transmitting a video signal like that. But Hollyland claims that the lowest transmission latency is 0.08 of a second. Now, I don't really have the tools to actually test that out, but when I was playing around with it, it was a very short delay. I was actually really impressed with how short the delay was. So on the transmitter, you're gonna have an SDI input and an HDMI input, so you can kind of choose which one you like to use there. And then on the receiver, you have the SDI output and HDMI output. Now, I think this feature is great. You have multiple power solutions. So not only do you have just a battery power, you can use a DC in or power it by USB-C. HD. So one transmitter, you're going to be able to support up to 2 receivers. So the video format you're going to be able to transmit at the highest is 1080 at 60 frames. And on the GH5, I was able to shoot on the 1080 all-I 200 megabytes per second, which is a 10-bit 422 file. Now on the front of each unit, you have the display screen as well as the buttons up, down, an OK menu button, and that's going to allow you to shuffle through the different channels and different settings. One of the things you may notice is the fan, but you are able to turn the fan off, which is kind of nice because if you're starting to pick that up in any audio, just switch that off or turn it to slow, and that should cut some of that fan noise. All right, let's do a quick installation and I'll show you how easy it is to set up the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. The first thing that we're going to do is take off these little covers, antenna covers on here, and we are going to install each antenna. So let me do that here real quick. All right, now that I have the antennas installed, I'm actually going to be powering them by an MP style battery and these little guys right here. So I'm going to install the batteries here. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and connect them to the Adamas Ninja V with the receiver, and then with the transmitter, I'm going to connect to the Panasonic GH5. Now, if you're like me, you're probably used to putting the receiver on the camera when doing wireless audio, but this is a little bit different because you're transmitting the video signal. So the receiver is actually going to go with the monitor and you're going to transmit the video signal from your camera. So I'm actually going to be using 2 high-speed HDMI cables. I'm not using the SDI. So I'm going to plug in the receiver with the monitor. Then the transmitter is going to connect to the GH5. And one of the great things about using the GH5 is a full-size HDMI port. So I'm going to use a high-speed HDMI cable from the transmitter to the GH5. All right, then I'm going to use the cold shoe on the transmitter and just connect it right to the top of the GH5. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is power everything on, and it's a little tricky with the actual units, the Mars 400S Pro units. It's kind of a little bit glitchy when you push it in. You really need to make sure that you get that button all the way in when you turn it on. Because before I was like pushing it just a little bit and it would kind of glitch on and then glitch right off. So what I found is that you really have to make sure, use your fingernail and like push it in. I've got things powered up. Now you can probably hear the fan, that's the Ninja fan. If you have any experience with those are pretty loud. But right now I have my GH5 set to a 4K setting. And so I'm not actually picking anything up. I just have the screen, just basically a black screen here. And so what I'm gonna do is actually switch over to a 1080 setting, and I'm going to go all-I 200 megabytes in 1080 full HD. So one of the things that happened for me, and I'm assuming is the case, is that it automatically connected to a channel linked up automatically right out of the box. All right, I switched over on my GH5 to full HD, 200 megabytes per second, all-I 1080 signal. And you might not be able to see it here, but I actually am getting a signal now. So I'm just gonna adjust some of my settings so that you can see what's happening in the monitor. So I'm gonna bring up my ISO here. And then what I'm gonna do is actually turn it, and you can see that now you are getting some of the feed around my office. Let me bring the ISO back down here. Maybe that's a little better. There you go. And this is fully wireless with the Mars 400 Pro. Now, when you're on set, you want to have a quick setup like this. You don't want to have to be shuffling things around. You want things to connect up right away. And what I found with this Mars 400S Pro is that it connects up right away, and you don't have to be right next to the camera to monitor what's going on your screen. And there's hardly any delay in the video feed. All right, so what I'm gonna do is an indirect line of sight video test. And I'm actually gonna put the GH5 upstairs while I monitor it downstairs from my office. So let's get that set up and see how that feed works. All right, so I've actually got my GH5 set up upstairs, and I am getting a fully clean feed down here in my office. And I'm recording up there, and so what you're seeing is a fully clean feed. So who is the Mars 400S Pro for? Honestly, I don't think it is for everybody. If you're making quick content like for YouTube or for Instagram, that type of thing, I don't know if it's right for you in those settings. But if you're a solo shooter on set, especially during COVID and doing client work, I think the Mars 400S Pro might be a good option in those scenarios. Another area that might be good are for team shoots, especially gimbal use. So you'll be able to have somebody using the gimbal and then transmit that video signal to somebody monitoring, and maybe somebody that's able to pull focus. So in a team use scenario, the Mars 400S Pro might be a good option. But like I said, if you're a quick hitter and all you need is a camera, this probably isn't for you. So just a few final thoughts on the Mars 400S Pro. I really think it's something that I can incorporate into my workflow. I am a solo freelancer, and so having capabilities to be away from the camera but still monitor my image, I think that's gonna come in huge. Again, I wanna thank Hollyland for sending me the Mars 400S Pro wireless video transmitter. I really do appreciate it. If you wanna check it out, I do have a link down in the description, and it is an affiliate link, so if you use that, it totally helps support this channel. So let me know down in the comments, is this something that you would consider using for your video production? Now, if you have time, it'd be awesome if you stick around, maybe watch one of these videos that's popping up on your screen right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.